Hello everyone. So thank you for inviting me, thank you Alistair, and greetings. I'm Chris Parker, the Chief Economist for Auckland Council. A little bit about myself. Started at Auckland Council at the beginning of the year. My role is wide-ranging. I'll be involved in many issues of all manner of all sorts, but as you can probably appreciate, in Auckland the big story of the day is house prices and urban growth. And I just want to cover off some of that as part of the context for my presentation. I also I don't have a large background in water, so apologies about that up front. In fact, I only read the National Policy Statement on Water Management on Monday. And I tell you, for someone at the first read in that sector, it's a hard slog. It's a technical specialist thing for specialist scientists and policy people, I'd say. But I read other stuff too, so what I'll cover off is the general context for Auckland and its challenges, and then I'll talk about the National Policy Statement and how that relates to Auckland and its challenges. And then I've been asked to talk about Section 32 evaluations, and so I'll cover that off at a very general level. So first of all, Auckland's big challenges: high house prices. I'll probably estimate now that the median house price relative to median household incomes would be at about 9, a ratio of 9, which is well outside where we would ideally be, which is about 3. So Auckland really does have a house price crisis. And I nabbed this quote off of Dr. Grassi, who was on Q&A one day, who said he reckons that this could potentially be the biggest issue of the decade. So I wouldn't get a quote like that very beginning, I nabbed it. So Auckland's growth pain. We are growing at a high rate in a large absolute size. So it's a good kind of problem to have kind of a relative, I'm a Wellingtonian, so relative to many other places around Wellington, around New Zealand, sorry, that are struggling and trying to manage shrinking populations. It is a very good kind of problem to have, but very much the problem. So the two issues with high house prices is, one, the financial stability to the economy as a whole. So if that if that market bursts, that'll have big impacts on the national economy. The second one is what it means to young people who are trying to come through the ranks, and the fact that they are closed out. I'm a senior manager in the council and paid accordingly, and we just would never have a hope in hell of buying a house in Auckland anywhere near where I work. 4 young kids and single income, and lots of other people in Auckland Council are the same. We love it here, Auckland's great, but it's broken. I guess I'm speaking for my generation and the generations to come. It's not good, and so the other two big growth problems in Auckland. We have challenges with funding infrastructure and the large amount of growth that we have. So up to 40% of growth in Auckland may be outside our current urban footprint. So to get some context, that's like building a brand new Hamilton to the south and 2 Palmerston Norths to the north. And that's really expensive. We also, sustainability is a really important thing for us. We have a wonderful document, the Auckland Plan, which is quite visionary and aspirational. And a green, sustainable environment is something that is Auckland's aspiring to. And I'll probably touch on a later slide, but I'll say it now. Auckland's harbours and clean waterways are probably, I think, if not number one, then number 2 most important thing to Aucklanders. It's up there with transport's the other big one. And so there's a big piece of work going underway at the moment, the Hauraki Gulf Marine Spatial Plan, or Sea Change, which is a very important piece of work, and making sure that the runoff from the life of Auckland is not polluting that very critically important natural resource is really important. So one of the big challenges for Auckland is one of the key reasons why we have the high house prices we have. And what's keeping me up late at night at the moment is a project to advise on how we're going to address and fix Auckland's house price crisis. And there's lots of reasons why we have it, and it's actually the solutions aren't. I mean, it's a harrowing problem. You think, crikey, but the solutions aren't actually all that hard. The challenge is bringing people along for the ride with what those solutions are, because the solutions themselves are kind of tough, but conceptually it's not all that hard. And one of the big problems that we have is aversion. The rate of growth that we have constitutes a massive amount of change. And people don't like to change. People don't want to change. So the isthmus, I didn't know that term before I got quite familiar with Auckland, is that bulging landmass in the middle of Auckland, which is enormous. It's really, really big. It's as big as all of Wellington Harbour and all of Wellington and half of Lower Hutt and all of the western suburbs. And that is chock-a-block full of houses. I'm going to show you a graph coming up that the residents that reside there and in the suburbs into the southern part of the North Shore and the like are, to some extent, and it varies per resident obviously, but there's significant aversion to intensification. Now in Auckland, just to give some context about growth, the graphs that are there show, you won't be able to read the axis, but there's a variety of different cities around the world. Across the horizontal axis is the distance from the city centre, the vertical axis is the number of people per hectare. And the point of that graph is to show that cities around the world typically have most people in the middle and decaying and intensification of density geometrically gradually as you go further away from the city centre. So that's the standard economic model of cities. Auckland is, in terms of density, arguably as flat as a pancake except for the city centre itself. So it is quite different. It is quite different to how cities should naturally evolve if they are free to evolve as they want to evolve. So that bit there is just, the scales are different for the Auckland. So I've shrunk it or proportioned it so that it is the same scale with the other benchmark cities. And as you can see, Auckland, despite having a lot of people in it, is relatively lowly, has low density. Now this map here sort of shows the point I was making before. This shows the extent to which, under the proposed plan that we're working frantically to do, unitary plan across all of Auckland, as we've amalgamated, this shows the capacity for redeveloping and accommodating 1 million more people that are coming over the next 30 years. Auckland's far bigger than that, of course, but I've zoomed in a little bit onto that narrow piece of land, the isthmus. Red means that there's high capacity for residential redevelopment. Blue means that there's low capacity for residential redevelopment. This accounts for all manner of planning regulations and also accounts for areas that are already developed and so are not going to be developed again. It includes things like the pre-1944 heritage overlay, volcanic view shafts, density restrictions, site coverage, minimum site section sizes, height rules, many things. So that's the background for Auckland. So now I'll talk about the National Policy Statement and what it means for Auckland. So you probably know Greg Holland, he's been heavily involved in this forum. He said to me, Chris, it's really important that you get along and talk about this National Policy Statement because it is really important to Auckland. So the issue is that, as I understand it, and I'll apologise in advance if I say the wrong thing, I'm very happy to stand corrected on anything I say. Okay, please do. So the context of the National Policy Statement and the issues that drove it are largely rural, pollution from farms and the like, but the National Policy Statement applies across the board. So it's something that came about from a rural driver, but it applies just as equally to urban living. Auckland is in breach, as Greg informs me, off the limits, off the standards in all of our streams and rivers, waterways, and that's the same worldwide, and no city around the world has cracked that, how to solve that. And the course that is natural enough. You've got a huge amount of people there. You have a huge amount of traffic flows. You've got the pollutants of the cars and the brake pads washing down the gutters on roads. You've got the entire area is a contrived man-made landmass of impermeable surfaces. And what greenery there is largely put in there after the fact. And at the moment, staff and council are really grappling with how on earth we could possibly meet these targets, especially given the scale of growth in the urban footprint that I described, the 1 million more people to come. Now that's just because the challenge is hard and we don't know how to do it. I'm not saying to get us off the hook. As I said, one of the most important things for Auckland is how to get the harbour clean and meet our other community values and in partnership with Mana Whenua. So a little bit first on how Council is managing the required limits and quality obligations. So the proposed Auckland Unitary Plan it does have, well, I'll probably describe as a do minimum approach. We're not keeping what was the operative plans before. They are adapting to some a little bit, but much of the hard work is going to be implemented and sort of formalised over the coming subsequent 7 years. The PAUP is a huge beast. As the planners tell me, nothing has ever been undertaken in the planning system in New Zealand's history of that scale, unifying what 4 very large cities anyway into one national unified plan. And if we are to grow, and I use the word sprawl not in a normative sense, it's just a description for the growing urban footprint. If we are to sprawl to the extent to which the plan allows, and if we are to meet these limits, these aspirational limits and qualities, standards in the National Policy Statement, I would expect that the infrastructure requirements in terms of stormwater, in terms of road management of water runoff down the sewers, would really need to be at the highest standard. Frankly, in other words, gold-plated / green-plated, which is expensive. Infrastructure is expensive anyway. So to me, what seems clear is that the National Policy Statement could either be the doing or undoing of Auckland. It's not something that's going to be a minor thing. It could either be one heck of a problem or one heck of an opportunity. And I don't think it's probably going to be something down the middle. So, okay, well, what's the bad side story? Well, the bad story would be we continue to sprawl. We then have to gold plate and green plate infrastructure in ways that we have not yet fathomed. We have a bill that we cannot afford. That cost gets passed on, and the already national crisis that we have with absurdly high house prices gets substantially worse. That, or it just doesn't happen and Auckland doesn't grow, and we just put major constraints on Auckland's development. Either way, none of this I can see being remotely workable. It's not going to happen. I'm up against the daily facing it on a daily basis how we're going to manage to grow Auckland at the moment, and there are some things that are just not equating. It's just not reconciling, and let alone something like this coming in and requiring that sort of infrastructure cost and major impact on planning. It's literally not going to happen. And it's a descriptive, not a prescriptive statement. The doing, but what I really like about this is that I'm one of the main people, I guess, within council publicly making an argument for intensification. Not so much pushing it, but challenging the barriers to it, so that are preventing it from happening if people want to do it. And I describe how the issues at stake are nationally significant, and they have major national spillovers well outside of, say, inner city suburbs. And the issues that the National Policy Statement is highlighting are very much broader. They're region-wide, and in fact, if that goes into the Hauraki, that's important for Waikato into Northland as well. So anything that we can do to emphasise and to communicate to existing suburbs about the nationally significant spillovers is going to help the story for intensification and being able to live within our means. And if we can do that, then we have a shot at managing the spillovers. But the latter, I would think, is going to be requiring a lot very good economic analysis, very good valuation of just what these costs are, because there's a reluctant audience to this argument. On section 32, RMA evaluations. So when I read section 32 of the RMA, and some key words stick out to me, I read it and think, okay, great, you want to know what the issues are, you want to know what the full spectrum of options are, you want to know what the benefits and costs are, you want to state your reckoning for how you got to your preferred solution, you want to know what the risks around advising on that solution are. Great, you want a RIS. I say that to people down the staff and council, and they say, what's a RIS, Chris? So it's a regulatory impact statement. Like the Regulatory Impact Analysis Handbook of Treasuries. It's a very good read. Are you familiar with it? No, I'm not, Chris. Okay, well maybe it's just language. It's sort of you go through a problem and then you think about the options and then but that's frankly not how we operate, and it's eye-opening. The standard model in a nutshell is go to the people, ask what they want, figure out the vision, go back, come up with a plan, go back to the people and consult heavily, very, very heavily, and iterate backwards and forwards until you minimise the number of submissions against the plan. I'm not criticising it, it's a great community-led way to achieve a pragmatic solution where you're negotiating, making compromises, and frankly it's probably a very most effective way to deliver on the requirements to create a plan. I'm not saying it's not pragmatic and not community-led, but it's just different from anything I had expected to see when I came to council. So some of the challenges with applying economic thinking when one is creating regulation plans, policies, spending, LPX, CapEx, whatever. It's in a nutshell, I guess the cop-out of the answer is its capability and capacity, of course. So capability is the skills to be able to understand what the logic and frameworks are and why they add value and how do you adapt and right-size them to the scale of the problem at hand. Capacity is about the time that people have to be able to do the work and do the research and work it through. And with the proposed Auckland Unitary Plan, we have one heck of a short time frame to be able to deliver that. But what I see ample scope for improvement is in capability. This is an extract of something that I think it's a good example of, and you'll love this data, it's a good example of the sort of advice that professional apparent authorities on economics are issuing to councils around the country. In fact, this was a consultant paid for by the Ministry of Environment for the new Section 32. And the definition, the thing I circled there, is that this instance of defined a benefit to be an effect that aligns with the policy intention, and the cost to be an effect that does not align with what the policy intends. Now, I'm a cost-benefit specialist, so it's so wrong I don't know where to begin. And apart from just ignoring a century worth of amazing economics from some of the history's best ever economists, if I was just to sort of show, illustrate an absurd example of why that's wrong, say you had a policy where you wanted everyone's left leg locked off. Then you looked at the options and you basically figure out the option that locked off the most legs and was most effective, and you said that had the highest benefits and the least costs. So off you go. So a cost-benefit analysis should be an avenue to be able to independently analyse an initiative without independent of the policy environment, so that you can sort of triangulate and see if you get the right answer, or whether your poles apart, and you can reconcile what the policy intent is and make sense of it. It really shouldn't be embedded in that way. I think you get my point. Capacity is less the issue. I got to council, we've got this massive amount of work that needs economic analysis, so I'm trying to do a quick squiz, lay the land where we're at with the economic analysis. I'm seeing demands for economists around the place. So what we did is a quick 45-minute Dragon's Den exercise. We get the planner for their respective area and the plan to come through, spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes talking about what the area was, and then we would talk, the economists in the room would then quickly whiteboard with this planner what's the problem definition. So the economists, you're probably now familiar with some of the jargon, so I'll throw it at you. Market failures and government failures. Although Aucklanders hate hearing that term, they thought their first one would say, damn it Chris, why do you keep talking about problems? Why can't you talk about opportunities? So, so now I don't use that jargon, I say, well, what are the attributes that prevent the market, what are the attributes about the market and of current policy settings that prevents the best outcome from happening? Can't say that. So that's problem definition. List those off, and then that is a wonderful, and I can't underscore how important that step is, doing it first, because it just segues seamlessly into the full spectrum of options. And you consider, and what I say is, non-regulatory options first. There's this little picture in the regulatory handbook, the spectrum you consider, non-regulatory, self-regulatory, co-regulatory, and then finally, and most reluctantly, regulatory options. Sort of have to walk back most reluctantly to that end stage. And that's just important to bring people along in the thinking. And then we very quickly, against each option, just describe what the type of benefits and costs are. Not how big or what, we just classify them, we bullet point them, we list them out. And then actually some options we can immediately strike off the list, because one option might have bigger benefits and lower costs, so it dominates. So you can actually, within 45 minutes, get down to a short list and some pretty good clarity on what the preferred option is, and that's before you've even done any quantification or any modelling as such. So this slide and the next slide are just an example of then how we take that. If someone's put some meat on the bones, they go back and read through the section 32s that have been done in the past, and then they summarise it in this little template. I found it to be quite useful just to see where whatever the issue is, what sort of resourcing and risks are involved with this issue, and how much work needs to be done on it. And that's the last slide. Thank you.